Hare Krishna, today we will be discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 5, text 15. Na datte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukrutam vibhuhu agnanena vrutam gnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. So Krishna says, Vibhu, the Supreme Lord, does not accept your papam or punyam. Na adatte. Adatte means accept. He does not accept, Supreme Spirit does not assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Papam cha sukrutam cha na adatte kasyachit. Agnanena avrutam gnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. Jantavaha, the living entities, the embodied living entities, are bewildered. Muhyanti. Why? Because of ignorance which covers their real knowledge. Their gnanam becomes avrutam, means covered by agnana. Tena, by which jantavaha muhyanti, they become bewildered. So here the Supreme Lord is called Vibhu. Nadatte kasyachit papam nachaiva sukrutam vibhuhu. Vibhu means he's great, great personality. Prabhupada explains the word. The Sanskrit word Vibhu means the Supreme Lord who is full of unlimited knowledge, riches, strength, fame, beauty and renunciation. Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashashashriyaha gnana vairagyayos-chaiva shannam bhaga itingana. The Bhagavan's definition is given by Parashara Muni. Somebody has to be called a Bhagavan, they have to possess these six attributes, six opulences, vibhuti, in full. Full Aishwarya, riches, viryasya, strength, yashasha, fame, shriyaha, beauty, gnana, knowledge, and renunciation, vairagya. So these are the six things Bhagavan has to possess. These are all the vibhutis. Therefore, one who is called Vibhu has to possess these things. And the other quality of Krishna mentioned here is he is always satisfied in himself. He is self-satisfied. He does not need to perform any pious activity or sinful activity for satisfaction of his desires. A living entity has to perform for satisfaction. Otherwise, we feel incomplete. In Bhagavatam, we see a personality called Pururava. He's a great king. But because of his, but he is a very great personality as well, charming personality. He looks handsome, chivalrous, heroic. So he's so heroic and charming that Urvasi from the heavenly planets becomes attracted to him. And she comes and proposes to him. And he also agrees. And they get married. And they enjoy life like that. And she agrees to marry him, spend time with him on a couple of conditions. One is, she has two lambs, pet lambs, like, goats kind of thing. And she says he has to give protection to them. And she says, I cannot see you ever naked except when we are meeting, when we are uniting. So he agrees to these proposals. But then, after some time, Indra feels vacant. His courtyard is incomplete without Urvashi, who performs in his courtyard. he says, no, you have to bring back her at whatever cost. So these Gandharvas go and they, in the night, and they steal these lambs. And then Urvashi gets up and she starts to scream at Pururava. You said you will protect my lambs, and now they are being taken away. You're good for nothing. You're own man only in name. And then Pururava gets up and without even dressing himself, he goes after. And then these Gandharvas, they leave the lambs and run away. But because of their effulgence, they throw the light on him. And then he is bringing these lambs back. And then she sees him naked. And then she says, no, I'm done with you. And then she goes away. And this Pururava becomes so mad. He cannot live without Urvashi. And he keeps roaming like a madman, always thinking about her. And finally, he meets her in Kurukshetra. And then he says, why are you doing this to me? And all of that. And she says, you have to perform a yagna to please these Gandharvas, then they will provide me to you. And then he keeps performing that. And then they give, instead of her, a woman looking like her, they will give Agnisthali. But he's not satisfied with her. And again, he starts to perform yagna. And then Treta Yuga starts. And in his heart, the yagnas are revealed. Tretayam yajato makaihi. He keeps performing the yagnas. Even though yagna is supposed to be meant to please the Supreme Lord, he performs the yagna to attain the association of Urvashi. So, finally he attains. He goes to the planet where Urvashi is there because of the yagna performance. So you see how the living entity, Bhagavatam shows the difference between the living entity and the Supreme Lord is that the living entity always is hankering for happiness and always doing things for attaining that happiness. He thinks only by getting this I'll be happy. And he goes to extreme lengths to get that happiness. He's not satisfied even after he gets what he wants, what he set out for. Whereas Vibhu, the Supreme Lord, is not like that. He is always satisfied in himself. Atma Rama, Kṛṣṇa is always being served. Lakshmi Sahasra Chata Sambrama Sevyamanam. He does not have anything to attain in this world. Natasya Karyam Karanam Cha Vidyate. He does not have to perform these kind of yagnas, pious activities, or the demoniac, what they do, by hook or crook, beg, borrow or steal, they acquire, exploit things either from nature or from others. The Lord has nothing to do with all of this, either pious or impious activities. He's always self-satisfied, but the jiva does. The living entity does. So sometimes people ask, so why God has given us these senses if we should not be enjoying sense gratification, enjoying this, exploit this nature? It's my tongue is given, I can eat whatever I want. Otherwise, why would God give this tongue? My eyes are given, my reproductive organs are given. They're there for a particular purpose and I can enjoy them. So, the point is that, yes, God has given the difference between your senses and the lower species, animal senses, is that the animal senses are very strong. They can enjoy senses like you cannot imagine. Their senses are particularly made to enjoy sense gratification. A human being cannot mate like animals. So much power the animals has got to mate. The human beings cannot eat like the animals. Some of the animals, they can eat raw meat and digest. The hog can eat anything and everything. His mouth is made in such a way that he can even eat the filth. Some animals' eyes are given so powerful that they can see from miles and miles. Some animals are given smell. Some animals are given the opportunity to sleep for a long time. But human being senses are not like that. They are meant for a higher purpose. To understand who we are, engage in higher purpose. That's the purpose of the senses, not to live like animals. And some say that, see, if Krishna is Vibhu, he is the controller, and you are saying he's always satisfied in himself, because we want satisfaction, we perform evil things. So why these thoughts are coming to us? We are getting evil thoughts, and therefore we are doing evil things. As everything is sanctioned by the Lord, our evil thoughts are also sanctioned by Him, and therefore we do evil things. If He had controlled evil thoughts, then there won't be evil deeds, isn't it? If God did not create illusion, we won't be in illusion. If God did not create evil, we won't be in evil. So they argue that since God has to be the original creator of everything, He must be the creator of illusion also. So why did He create illusion? That is why people are under illusion. Otherwise, we won't be under illusion. So, that is what here it is said. Although Krishna is the supreme controller and the ultimate sanctioner, He does not accept responsibility for, or He does not assume our sinful or pious activities. Nadatte kasyachit papam. See, we can understand with this example of a mother and child. So the child is asking, I want to catch the moon. I want to get the moon. And the child is crying desperately, inconsolable, not eating, not sleeping. So what does the mother do? The mother finally comes to him with a mirror and shows the moon. Hey, here is your moon. And he takes the mirror and yes, now I've caught hold of the moon. The child is happy. This is illusion, isn't it? He didn't really get the moon, but he's thinking he got the moon. So why all this is happened? Because we are like child asking for something. We went to Krishna and said, we want to be like him. Why everybody is serving you? I want to be like you. I want to be the center of attraction. Everybody should serve me. Why should I serve you? And what will the mother do? No, it's not possible for you to get the moon. It's not in your capacity. No, the child keeps crying. Okay, Krishna creates the illusion. Just like the child is thinking this is moon, we are also thinking we are controller of everything. We are thinking we are these bodies. A teller at the bank, if he is thinking he is the owner of all the cash that he is getting, he is an illusion. This is the illusory world we live in. It's not that Krishna created this illusion so that we are in illusion. Because we wanted illusion, we wanted something. Therefore, Krishna had to create illusion. So God creates illusion. That is correct. God has only created illusion. Nothing can come without God creating it. But it is created at the behest of the living entity. Prabhupada gives a beautiful example, like how the jail, why does jail exist? People may say, oh, because jail exists, people are suffering. No. Jail is created by the government. We cannot say, oh, because government created the jail, that is why there are criminals. No, because it's people who choose to be in jail by performing these activities. Ye yadha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. People's desire to commit sin, the desire to be separate from Krishna, that is evil. That is originated because of our independence. Otherwise, there is no meaning to independence. Anything which is spirit, any spirit which is to enjoy separately from Krishna, that is evil. And Krishna will provide everything to you to go after that thought or desire, because he is the ultimate sanctioner. Without him, you cannot do anything in this world. Ye yadha mam prapadyante tams tadhaiva bhajamyaham, that we had seen in the 4th chapter. God is reciprocal. However we want, God provides the same way. Whatever we want. What we want, God is providing. Of course, not that I want to become the president of the America and God will provide me immediately. It requires a lot of punya karma. If your desire is strong, God will engage you like that. It may take many lifetimes. Therefore, if your karma is not enough, it may not happen. The desire may not happen immediately or in this lifetime. That is why there is a saying, man proposes, God disposes. Man proposes his desires, God disposes. This is what you get. So there is an interesting statement in the purport. Sometimes people misunderstand this. It is said, the Lord engages the living entity in pious activities so he may be elevated. The Lord engages him in impious activities so he may go to hell. The living entity is completely dependent in his distress and happiness. By the will of the Supreme, he can go to heaven or hell, as a cloud is driven by air. So what is this? Very interesting. The Lord is engaging the living entity in pious activities, so he may be elevated. The Lord engages him in impious activities, so he may go to hell. This is Vedic statement Prabhupada is quoting. So what we have to understand is, it doesn't mean that God is sending some choicest people that he has, some people to heaven and some people to hell as per his desires. No, God is not. Krishna already clarifies, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyosti na priyaha. I am equal, neutral to everyone. I don't have particularly somebody who is dear, particularly somebody who I hate. He is engaging everyone so that their particular desires are satisfied. If someone desires to go to heaven, the Supreme Lord engages the living entity in pious activities so he may be elevated. If somebody desires to live in hellish life or hellish existence, he engages him like that so he can go to hell. But ultimately, we are all dependent on him to satisfy our desires. A criminal, an atheist even, is dependent on God for his arguments. If God does not give his arguments, the atheist cannot argue. Most powerful atheists, where are they getting the arguments from? When Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaj, you are just a small boy and it's so difficult, nothing could kill you. Where are you getting this power from? And Prahlad Maharaj said, my source of power is the same as your source of power. We're all getting the source of power from the same powerhouse. However we want, Krishna will empower us like that. So like this, many people have different understanding. Oh, because of God. Sometimes people say, oh, if Krishna wants, I'll come to temple. Krishna's will is not there. God's will has not, time is not there. That is why otherwise I would have come to temple. I would have taken to Krishna consciousness. Time will come for everything, they say. But Prabhupada would chastise such mentality. Prabhupada says, Krishna is openly saying, Sarva dharman parityajya, come and surrender to me right now. Mamekam sharanam raja. What else do you need? If you really want Krishna to take charge of you, your life will actually become miserable. Krishna will take away everything. Your riches, your relations, your happiness, everything he'll take away so that you become completely dependent on him, being bereft of everything. If you really want that kind of intervention in your life by Krishna. Yasyaham anugrahnami harishye tadhanam shanaihi tato adhanam tyajantyasya swajana dukkha dukkhitam. If Krishna shows extraordinary mercy, then Krishna will take away everything. So that that person, he has nothing else but Krishna to depend on. So one time Prabhupada was traveling in train and these devotees were guarding him because in India a lot of people, they come to take blessings of sadhu and they disturb him and all of that. So one time these devotees went out and some few gentlemen sneaked into the chambers. You know, the first class trains have these separate chambers. So they started to speak to Prabhupada and Swamiji, we want your blessings. And then Prabhupada said, yes. And then these devotees came, the Westerners came. Yeah, I can give you blessings. So look at these people, these Westerners. They're all from rich backgrounds. His father is a rich man, millionaire. His father is so and so. And they had beautiful houses. And they had so much opportunity to enjoy opulence and wealth. But because of my mercy and blessing, all of that they have given up. And they have shaven up their heads, given up everything they had, and is serving me like this, being bereft of everything. This is my mercy. Do you really want? And then they, Swamiji, thank you, and then they left. So, it's better to voluntarily surrender to Krishna. The point is, Krishna already said, surrender. Don't wait for, oh, when the time will come, I will do it. No, right now, there is no time. Turnam yate tanapate tanumrutyu yavat. Bhagavatam says, Turnam, very urgent, the urgent necessity of Krishna consciousness. We don't know when the life will end. There cannot be surety. Right now we have to take up. At least start the journey. Another time Prabhupada was in Mauritius and there was this member of parliament who also had a newspaper called Mauritius Times. So he got up after the lecture and kind of challenged Prabhupada. Kind of a very interesting question he posed. So he said, so you're talking about illusion and how Bhagavad Gita, Krishna consciousness can remove illusion. So he said, see, how can a person who has just heard from God speaking about the absolute truth, the next moment he can break down and completely be devastated by some event that had happened? So Prabhupada didn't understand what he was asking. And then he was explaining further how Arjuna, He was taught by Krishna Bhagavad Gita before the battlefield, before the battle started. But when Abhimanyu was killed, Arjuna became devastated and he was so confused. He was so overwhelmed, not confused, he was overwhelmed by emotions. And he was taking pratigna and he was inconsolably crying and lamenting. And then he said, oh, why a person behaved like that even after hearing Bhagavad Gita? And then Prabhupada explained, see, theoretically we understand that the body is not killed. But when my son dies, for example, I become affected. But that is a realized man, that is temporary for him. Everybody becomes disturbed as long as we have this body because of bodily relations. Everybody becomes disturbed. But that does not mean he stops his duties. But what was the conclusion? Did Arjuna leave the war field and go away not hearing Krishna's instructions or orders? No. He still, even though he was affected for the time being, naturally he was, but finally he followed Krishna's order. Karishye vachanam tava, nasto mohaha smritir labdha. My illusion is now over and I shall fight. So that's why a devotee, occasionally there may be lapses. This Maya is so strong that Maya keeps always trying to put the devotee, or everybody for that matter, in illusion. But the speciality of a devotee is that there is Krishna who will help him from within, the spiritual master who will help him from without. The devotees, by their association, they will help the devotee who is undergoing trouble. So all help is given to a devotee, whereas outsiders or non-devotees who don't surrender to Krishna, don't take advantage, they are completely overwhelmed by their Maya influencing their desires and accordingly performing pious activities or impious activities and thereby getting the result that is due for them. I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments? Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.